The sun was warm on the colony world of Grey Rock. It was a peaceful place, green trees, quiet lakes, and no sign of danger. People lived calm lives here, far from war and noise. Near the edge of a small forest, a human child played alone. The boy laughed as he ran after a ball, kicking it through the tall grass. His mother stood nearby watching with a smile. But then everything changed. The wind stopped. The air became heavy. The sky turned darker, like something was blocking the sun. And the sound, it was like a low hum. Quiet at first, but growing, louder. The mother looked up, confused. The trees didn't move. Birds didn't fly. It was too quiet. She turned back to her son. He was gone. Her scream broke the silence. People ran to help. They searched the forest, called his name again and again. But there was no answer. No footprints, no broken branches, no sound. Just the ball, sitting alone in the grass. The colony leaders thought it might be an animal attack. But no animals were missing. And the boy had only been a few steps from his mother. It made no sense. Then the security team found something strange. A single black burn mark in the grass. No fire, no heat. Just a perfect circle, like the ground had been sliced by a blade of light. It was the only clue. Back on Earth, a deep space station picked up a strange signal. It came from near Grey Rock, and it wasn't natural. It wasn't human either. The signal was short but clear. A voice. Twisted. Mechanical. Alien. Specimen acquired. Preparing jump. The transmission ended. Within minutes, Earth's defense. Command was alerted. The signal had come from an unknown ship. No one had seen it come or go. But its trail was real. Gravity ripples, heat bloom, and distortion in local space. It had used jump tech, fast, clean, and advanced. Too advanced. The scientists said the ship was invisible to most sensors, stealth class, high level, maybe thousands of years ahead. The generals didn't care about that. They cared about one thing: a human child had been taken and someone would pay. In a dark room on Earth, the top leaders met. No media, no records, just a decision. One of the commanders stood up and spoke. They took one of ours. A child. That's not just a crime. That's a message. And we will answer it. The order was simple. Locate the enemy ship. Track its route. Prepare a response. But Earth had something ready already, something hidden. Project Hammerlight. A Warfleet built in secret. Fast, silent, deadly. For threats just like this. They never thought they'd need it. Now, it was time. Back on Grey Rock, the child's mother sat outside staring into the sky. Her hands were shaking. She hadn't spoken much since the day he vanished. Then her wrist communicator blinked. A message, no sender. She tapped it. The screen lit up and froze her blood. It was a picture. Fuzzy, cold, but it was him, her child, floating in a glass tube, asleep. The background was alien. Dark walls, strange lights. Symbols no one could read, and at the bottom, 3 words: "He is ours." She screamed again, but this time she didn't sound afraid. She sounded angry. Earth's agents studied the message. They confirmed it was real. The signal was traced, far past the edge of mapped space. Near an old dead star. No colonies. No stations. No reason for anything to be there. Except now. There was a reason, and Earth was going. The Warfleet began to move. Silent ships launched from deep space docks. Crews were awakened from cold sleep. Weapons were loaded. Orders were given. Find the child. Find who took him. And bring the sky down on them. Far from Earth, in a massive alien ship, the child floated in his chamber. He was asleep, but not by choice. A thick mist kept him under. Machines beeped and blinked. Around him. Outside the room, tall creatures spoke in low tones. They wore armor made of bones and metal. One of them looked through the glass and whispered, "They won't follow. They fear us. They always have." Another replied, "No, These are humans. You don't know what they become when you touch their young. They both turned to the child. One said with a hint of fear, "Then we must be ready, because they're coming." The stars above Earth were calm. But deep below the surface, in a hidden command center, alarms echoed through metal halls. Red, lights flashed, huge screens lit up with warnings and maps. Earth was not waiting anymore. The fleet was moving. In a steel war room, the commander stood still. His eyes were locked on the screen that showed the image, the stolen child floating in a glass pod asleep. Next to the image were the words, "He is ours." No one spoke. Then the commander's voice cut through the silence. "Launch protocol." Black. They wanted war. They just opened the gates. Across Earth's orbit, hidden stations activated. Giant metal doors opened, revealing ships that didn't exist on paper. Each one was dark, sharp, and deadly. Warcrafts built for speed, stealth, and destruction. Project Hammerlight had begun. On the outer edge of the solar system, a scout ship waited in silence. It had no name, no markings, just a crew trained to vanish in space. They received a new mission: track the kidnappers, do not engage, report movement. Within minutes, the ship jumped into deep space, following faint gravity ripples from the stolen child's location. What they found wasn't just one ship. It was a path. A secret route used by something old, powerful, and hidden. Meanwhile, Earth's most advanced AI decrypted another layer of the strange alien signal. A voice was buried beneath the static, cold, hollow, subject secure, prepare next harvest. The word harvest sent chills through everyone. This wasn't a one-time event. They had taken children before. They planned to do it again. That was all the proof Earth needed. In a sealed hangar on Mars, a rescue unit suited up. Their armor wasn't shiny or pretty. It was dark, scarred, built from human wars. These were the best soldiers Earth had. And they weren't being sent to fight. They were being sent to bring the child back or die trying. The leader of the unit spoke just once before launch. "They think we're weak. They took our future. Let's show them who we are." Then they boarded the ship and it vanished into the stars. In deep space, the enemy watched. Inside a massive alien dreadnought, a tall figure with pale skin stood before a glowing screen. On it, the stolen child floated calmly. The alien didn't smile, but its voice was full of pride. "This one is different," it said. "Strong mind, fearless heart." Another alien approached, holding a strange device. "There is movement," it said. "The humans have found the trail." The tall one paused. "They're following?" "Yes." Fast. Silence. Then the leader said one word. "Let them." Back on Earth, panic was rising, but not from the people. It was the Council, a secret group of alien races who had made peace with Earth. Barely, were now terrified. They sent desperate messages. "Do not send ships. Do not go to war. Please, stop, before it's too late." But Earth had already made its choice. The humans were coming, and nothing would stop them. The scout ship reached the edge of a dead system. No stars, no planets, just black dust and silence. But then they saw it. A station. Huge. Floating in the dark. Not lit. Not alive. Except it was. They saw movement, heat, energy, and something else. Cages. Thousands of them. Not just human children, but others. Alien children. Forgotten, scared, silent. And at the center, the boy. Still alive. The crew sent the footage back to Earth. Within seconds, the message lit up screens in every fleet ship. Target confirmed. Rescue is a go. In the child's chamber, the lights flickered. A low hum shook the floor. The machines around him paused. The aliens knew what was coming. One spoke in fear. "You don't understand what you've done. Humans don't forget. And they don't stop." The leader replied, cold and calm. "Let them come. This galaxy has feared the wrong enemy for too long." Earth's fleet was now in motion. Dozens of warships cloaked in shadows. Their guns were hot. Their engines burned. The humans had one goal: bring the child home. Burn anything that stands in the way, and far above, in the black sea of space, the first spark of war had already been lit. Space grew colder as Earth's fleet passed the last known star. Nothing lived out here. No planets, no light, just silence. And then, they saw it, a shadow moving against the black. It wasn't a planet. It wasn't a ship. It was something else. Structure. Massive. Floating. Hidden behind cloaking clouds made from frozen gas and false readings. The kind of place only monsters would build. Earth's lead ship scanned it. It had no name in any database. No light. No signal. But it was real. And it was alive. Inside the alien structure, thousands of cages hung like spider webs across a metal sky. Some were empty, some had bones, but many held life. Alien children, from different worlds, different species, all taken, all silent, all watching. At the center, inside a thick glass pod, was the human child. He wasn't crying, he wasn't afraid. He stared at the roof like he was listening to something far away. Far above, Earth's stealth team moved in. 6 black ships slipped through the outer defenses, silent and unseen. Each ship had a mission: map the layout, locate the child, avoid contact. Unless contact couldn't be avoided. The moment they entered the enemy zone, the human commander gave the signal. Find him, no matter what's guarding him. Inside the alien station, alarms stayed silent. The creatures who ran this place weren't worried. In fact, they welcomed the humans. The leader of the station stood in a cold chamber, staring at screens that showed Earth's forces arriving. His body was long and sharp, with eyes like cracked glass. "They've come," one of his guards said. "Of course they have," the leader replied. He turned to the others. "They think this is a rescue." He tapped on the glass screen, showing the human child. "But this is a test." Earth's stealth team reached a dark hallway filled with strange symbols on the walls. The air was cold, too cold for any normal life. But they kept moving. No words, just signals and heartbeats. One of the soldiers paused at a doorway. Inside, they saw horror cages, hundreds, maybe more, and inside them, children, not just humans, many different kinds. Eyes wide, thin arms reaching out. No sound, just hope. One child, a small gray alien with 4 eyes, whispered, "Don't wake them, don't make noise, or they'll take your mind too." The soldiers moved deeper. They found signs of experiments, machines with dark fluids, helmets with wires, rooms filled with screams that still echoed in the walls. Then finally, they saw him, the human child, floating in a glass chamber, still alive, still waiting. But something was wrong. His eyes were open and glowing. Back on Earth's lead ship, the sensors glitched. One by one, systems failed. Navigation died. Maps turned to static. Then a warning appeared. Infected. Signal. Origin. Child. Everyone froze. The fleet's AI tried to block it, but the signal wasn't attacking. It was calling something bigger. Something ancient. The commander spoke. "Pull our teams out. Now." But it was too late. Inside the alien structure, the human child suddenly moved. He touched the glass, and all the lights went red. The entire station came alive. Walls opened, hidden guns emerged, metal monsters stepped from shadows. The alien leader smiled. "The humans were never the target," he said. "This child is." One of his guards whispered, "You turned him into a weapon." "No," said the leader, staring into the camera. "We woke him up." The stealth team prepared to extract the child, but the floor shook beneath them. Metal claws tore through the walls. Defense bots charged the hallway. The soldier shouted, "We're not alone!" Gunfire lit the dark. Screams echoed. But they reached the chamber. One soldier pulled out a device and hit the unlock code. The glass opened. The child fell forward, and then he spoke, not with fear but with power. They made me see everything, the child whispered. They took me, but they didn't break me. The team looked at him in shock. His voice was deeper, wiser, like something had changed him. Something not human. The extraction began. Earth's fleet prepared to strike. The silent war was over. Now came the fire. Because Earth wasn't just here to rescue the child. They were here to destroy whatever made him like this and the aliens. They just realized they had made the worst mistake in the galaxy. Space burned, not with fire, but with purpose. Earth's fleet had waited long enough. The child was alive, changed, touched by something no one could explain. The enemy had turned him into more than human. Now Earth wasn't just here to rescue him. They were here to bring down the monster that had made him this way, and they would strike first. Above the enemy station, Earth's warships appeared, one by one, rising from the shadows like giants from a nightmare. The aliens didn't expect them to come so fast. They didn't expect so many. Dozens of ships. No warning, no message, just silence. Then a single human voice cut through the void. We know what you've done. You don't get to hide now. And with those words, the stars exploded. Earth's fleet opened fire. Blue light streaked across the darkness. Torpedoes slammed into the enemy's outer walls. Stealth cruisers punched through shields like they weren't even there. The alien defenses woke up, but too late. Earth's weapons were precise, brutal, designed to end a battle before it began. Inside the enemy station, alarms screamed for the first time. Creatures ran. Bots activated. Shields flickered, but Earth kept coming. Their ships moved like wolves in a storm. Inside the station, the child walked beside the rescue team. He wasn't scared. He wasn't weak. His hands glowed faintly. Not with magic, but with something else. Something not taught by humans. One of the soldiers whispered, "What did they do to you?" The child looked up, his eyes calm. "They tried to change me," he said. "But they showed me who they really are." The hallway shook. The ceiling cracked. A wall burst open. 3 alien beasts crawled out. Twisted metal bodies, long arms, sharp teeth. The soldiers raised their guns. But the child raised his hand first, and the creatures stopped, frozen. Then they fell, lifeless. No shots fired, just silence. The soldiers stared. The child didn't smile. "Keep moving," he said. Outside, the battle raged. Alien warships finally joined the fight. Sharp, insect-like crafts launched from hidden bays. Their weapons fired in wild patterns, fast, hot, dangerous. But Earth's ships didn't blink. One human warship dove straight into the heart of the alien formation. They called it the Breaker. Its front tore through 2 enemy ships in one move. Inside, its captain gave one order: "Get us close enough to make them feel it." The ship's hull heated to glowing red. And when it struck the 3rd alien cruiser, it split the enemy clean in 2. The alien leader inside the station watched everything from a tall glass tower. His eyes narrowed. "These humans," he whispered. "They were not supposed to come this far." Another alien hissed, "We should release the others." The leader shook his head. "No. The child is enough. If we survive today, we can begin again. But if we lose..." He turned toward a strange black console. "Then we give them a memory they can't erase." He placed his hand on the console, and somewhere deep under the station, something ancient woke up. The rescue team reached the final gate. One last barrier stood between them and the extraction ship. But then the floor cracked. The air went cold. Giant figure rose from the ground, a machine fused with bone, fire in its eyes, chains wrapped around its arms. It wasn't alive. It wasn't dead. It was designed to kill everything. The soldiers stepped back. The child stepped forward. The monster growled, "You don't belong here." The child whispered, "No, but I remember what you did." And then the child touched the floor. The entire room pulsed. For 1 second, everything stopped. The creature dropped to its knees, shaking, glitching, cracking. Then it collapsed into dust. The rescue team stood frozen. What is he?" one soldier asked. The team leader replied, voice trembling. He's the reason they're afraid. The team reached the extraction point. Earth's dropship hovered in the ruins, ramp open, guns hot. The child stepped aboard. The soldiers followed. Then came the voice of Earth's fleet commander. Target secured, all units, burn it down. And that was when Earth stopped holding back. Missiles rained. Plasma beams carved the sky. Alien ships exploded like fireworks. And as the enemy station began to fall, the child turned to look back. In the fire, he saw the faces of others still trapped. He didn't speak, but something in his eyes said, "This isn't over. Not until every cage is empty. Not until no child is ever taken again. Not until the stars remember. Humans protect their own, and when they come with fire." The station was gone. Where it once floated in deep space, there was now only dust and fire. Earth's fleet had erased it from the stars, but it wasn't over. Not even close. Because what they found inside the enemy's system changed everything. It wasn't just one station. It wasn't just one child. It was a network, a dark web of ships, labs, cages, spreading through forgotten parts of the galaxy. And worst of all, Earth was not the only victim. Inside the command ship, the child stood before a massive screen. It showed data recovered from the fallen station, encrypted files, strange symbols, and hidden maps. Earth's AI worked to decode it. Bit by bit, the truth came out. Thousands of children, from hundreds of species, taken across centuries, used, experimented on, discarded. Some were never found. Some were never meant to survive. The child looked at the screen and spoke in a voice too calm for his age. "They called us seeds." The officers turned to him. "Seeds for what?" the commander asked. The child pointed at one file glowing red. "Weapons. They were building weapons out of us." The fleet fell silent. This wasn't just a rescue anymore. It was a war. A hidden war that had gone on for too long. A war no one knew was happening, or maybe one that others had ignored. The Council, the trade empires, the old allies, they all knew, and they stayed silent. Earth was done being silent. The fleet sent out a signal, a blast across the stars. It showed the truth, the recordings, the cages, the maps, the child's message. It reached every corner of the known galaxy. Some laughed, some cried, some turned their ships around afraid of what was coming, because Earth wasn't asking for help. Earth was saying, "We're coming for all of them." In a hidden system, far from any star, the last High Nest watched the transmission. The alien leaders, the ones who ordered the kidnappings, the experiments, the lies, they watched as their secrets burned across space. One of them hissed, "The humans revealed us." Another growled, "Fools. They have no idea what we truly are." But then a third one said something different. "They sent a child." The others froze. "What do you mean?" The leader pulled up an image, the human boy, eyes glowing, walking through fire. "This one is not like the others. They broke the code." "He's a key," one whispered. "No," said the leader, staring at the screen. "He's the door." Back on the flagship, Earth's commander stood before his crew. "We're not rescuers anymore," he said. "We're hunters." The crowd listened in silence. These things hid in the dark, took our children and thought we'd never find them. He looked to the stars outside the window. "But now, we have their names, their locations, their designs. They started this war in secret, and we're going to end it in daylight." Cheers rose through the fleet. The hunt was on. The first target was a hidden shipyard. It floated near a dead moon, guarded by mines and cloaked fields. Inside, they weren't building ships. They were building pods. Chambers made for children, still warm, still running. When Earth's fleet arrived, the aliens tried to run, but they didn't get far. The first wave hit hard. Earth's fire split the sky in half. The second wave landed. Soldiers stormed the shipyard, broke open every cage, pulled every child out. Most were too weak to walk. But one of them, a small creature with golden eyes, whispered, I heard the humans were myths. The soldier replied, No, we're the ending. After the rescue, Earth sent one message to the galaxy. Every child taken, every cage built, every scream silenced. We heard it all. And we are coming. Aliens across space panicked. Some shut down their stations and fled. Others begged for mercy. But Earth didn't stop. The child, still calm, still changed, sat beside the commander. And when the next map lit up with enemy signals, he said only 2 words. This one lies deep. It has many children. It must fall. The commander nodded. He didn't ask how the child knew, because by now, they all felt it. He wasn't just a victim anymore, he was something else. He was the voice of every child who never got to speak, and through him, Earth would answer with fire. The sky cracked. A star blinked out, and Earth's Warfleet dropped out, of warp, right at the gates of the largest enemy stronghold yet. It wasn't a station, it wasn't a ship, it was something in between, a floating fortress the size of a moon, with sharp towers, endless hangars, and walls that breathed like a living beast. It had a name buried in stolen data, the Nest Core. This is where they had taken the most children. This is where they had turned pain into power. This was the heart of the enemy, and Earth was about to tear it out. Inside the command ship, Earth's commander looked at the glowing structure. On the screen, behind him stood the child, older now in spirit, as if every rescued child's memory passed through him. The fleet AI spoke. Enemy power levels rising, defenses active. They're waiting. The commander didn't blink. So, are we? He looked over his shoulder at the child. You sure you're ready? The child nodded once. They taught me fear, he said. Now I'll teach them truth. The order was given. All ships, engage. Hit them where it hurts. Earth's fleet roared into life. Spearhead cruisers charged forward. Drones were launched in waves. Heavy cannons lit up the dark. The Nest Core answered back. Hundreds of alien ships burst from hangars like a swarm of hornets. Their shapes twisted, unnatural, grown, not built. They screamed as they flew, but Earth was ready. They came with precision, with fury, and with something the enemy didn't understand. Purpose. As the battle raged in the sky, a dropship slipped below enemy sensors. Inside it was Earth's most elite, ground team, and the child. Their mission: reach the core, find the chamber, shut it all down. The ship shook with each impact. Alarms blared, metal groaned, but the child stood calm. He felt something calling him, not in words but in pain. He knew where they had kept the others. He could feel them. Inside the Nest Core, chaos began. The aliens hadn't expected this kind of strike. Not so fast, not so bold. But they still believed they were stronger. The High Voice, leader of the Core, watched the battle from his tower. He hissed to his guards, "Let them in. Let them see what we've made. Let them understand the cost." Then he turned to a glowing sphere pulsing with life. Inside it floated dozens of children, still trapped, still dreaming. He smiled. "We've broken hundreds," he whispered. "One more won't change the tide." But he didn't know. This one was different. The ground team breached the walls of the fortress. They fought through metal beasts, defense bots, and creatures grown from bone. The halls were tight, hot, and alive, beating like a heart. But the child led the way. At every turn, he knew where to go, like he'd already been here in his dreams. One soldier asked, "How do you know?" He replied, "Because I remember screams that weren't mine." The fleet outside was holding, barely. Earth ships pushed deeper into enemy lines. Torpedoes burst through towers. Fighters weaved through alien fire. But then, the Nest Core revealed its secret. From beneath its lower deck, a ship rose. No, a monster. It had no engines, no bridge. It was shaped like a blade and moved like a ghost. It didn't fire weapons, it consumed them. Earth's first cruiser shot a full blast at it, and the energy vanished into the monster's skin. The monster fired back, a pulse wave. The cruiser was gone, not broken, not burning, just erased. Earth's command ship sent one urgent call. All ships adjust. Do not engage that craft directly. Focus on disabling the core. We end this now. Back inside the fortress, the child and the team reached the heart chamber. The doors were tall and breathing, covered in strange symbols. The child placed his hand on them. The door opened. Inside, silence and cages. Hundreds of them. Some open, some still filled, some with children still breathing, some with less. Tears rolled down the soldier's face, but the child stepped forward, eyes glowing. He touched the chamber floor, and the fortress shook. The high voice felt it. No, he whispered. He's awakening them. Alarms blared across the nest core, cages unlocked, systems crashed. The fortress screamed, and for the first time, the children inside began to wake up. One by one, they opened their eyes. Not afraid. Not broken, but aware. They looked at the child, and he spoke softly. Stand with me. The fortress could no longer hold. Earth's fleet, seeing the core flicker, launched everything. Final blasts hit weak points. Plasma drills tore the main spine, and inside the chamber the children stood in a circle, hands touching, minds connecting. The walls collapsed around them, but not one of them moved. They weren't children anymore. They were voices, and they were done being silent. The nest core split open, exploded, and from the fire, one pod rose, protected by a glowing shield, built from power, not of Earth, not of machines, but from will. The child stood in its center, eyes glowing, hands still warm from the touch of hundreds who had been saved. Earth had won the battle, but he knew. The real war wasn't over yet. The nest core was gone, burned, broken, floating in pieces, but from its ruins, hope rose. A single pod glided through the fire, silent, glowing, untouched by war. Inside stood the human child. Around him floated dozens of alien children, now free, now awake. A shield of light protected them all, powered not by machines but by something deeper, something human, something unstoppable. Earth's fleet watched the pod approach. Guns stayed ready. Then sensors confirmed. All life signs stable, all children alive. Inside the command ship, the crew stood frozen. One soldier whispered, "Is that him?" The commander nodded. Yes, and he didn't just come back. He brought them all. The docking bay opened. The pod landed softly. As the door lifted, the children stepped out one by one. No fear, no pain, only silence. And then the human child stepped forward, not smiling, not crying, just calm. The commander stepped down to greet him, but the child spoke first. It's not over. Before Earth could celebrate, before they could even rest, a transmission hit every system at once. Voice cold, old alien, you destroyed a seed. Out the tree, you lit a fire. Now watch how far it burns. The signal came from all directions. Multiple sources, hidden stations across the galaxy. The enemy hadn't just built one fortress. They'd built many. The nest core was only one part. The others were waiting, waking, and now they knew Earth was coming. But Earth had already changed. They didn't stand alone anymore. The truth had been broadcast. The galaxy had seen the cages, the stolen children, the horror that had been hidden. For centuries, and one by one, civilizations began to respond. Some sent warships, others sent medics, and some sent survivors. A united voice formed. No more silence. Back on Earth's flagship, the child stood before a galactic council. Not a political one, but one made of survivors. Each species sent someone rescued from the cages. All of them stood, together, young, broken, but healing. The child raised his hand and pointed to a map glowing with red marks. Enemy locations. They will keep taking, unless we stop them. The commander stepped beside him. Then we stopped them. Earth's engineers began building something new, not just warships, but guardians. Ships designed to patrol the edge of every system, to protect every world, built with human steel, fueled by human fury, but guided by something better, the promise made to every child who had ever been taken, never again. In the center of Earth's orbit, a massive structure formed, a beacon, not a weapon, a signal, a warning, a shield. Its name was carved into its heart in hundreds of languages, the children's flame. Any child taken in the galaxy would have. That beacon broadcasted to their home. Any station that dared build a cage again would feel Earth's fury, fast, sharp, and final. The child, older now, though still small, was offered anything he wanted. To live in peace, to return home, to forget. But he only asked for one thing. Let me go with the next ship. The commander asked why. He looked up. Because I hear the others still calling. The final scene burned into the galaxy's memory, a single Terran warship drifting toward deep space. On board, a crew of humans and former captives, now soldiers, now family. And in the center of the bridge, the child sat quietly watching the stars. He wasn't afraid, he wasn't broken, he was human. And through him, the galaxy had learned one truth. You never touch a human child, because when you do, you don't face a rescue, you face the storm.